The first thing you notice is the cold, not a bitter cold that makes you want to run indoors, but the quiet kind that settles over everything before dawn. It rests on the roof tiles, gathers on the wooden fence, and turns the grass silver beneath your feet. Somewhere in the darkness, a rooster calls. Another answers from farther away. Then everything becomes quiet again. You open your eyes. For a moment, you do not remember where you are. There is no traffic outside the window, no distant hum of engines, no telephone vibrating beside the bed, no electric light waiting at the touch of a switch. Only darkness, only the soft sound of breathing from the people sleeping nearby. And then you remember, you are in a small medieval village. It is early morning, sometime in the 13th century. The village is still asleep. Beyond the walls of the house, the world is beginning to wake. You lie still for another moment and listen. A log shifts in the fireplace. Someone turns over beneath a wool blanket. Wind brushes gently against the wooden shutters. The smell of smoke has settled into everything during the night. It is in the blankets, in the clothes hanging beside the wall, in the straw beneath you, and even in your hair. You pull the blanket closer. 1. The room is simple. There is no glass in the window. Instead, the opening has been covered with wooden shutters, and a small gap allows a thin line of gray morning light to enter. The floor is packed earth. The walls are made from timber and plaster. There are a few stools, a rough table, a chest, some wooden bowls, a cooking pot, and a spinning tool leaning against the wall. Nothing has been placed there simply because it looks beautiful. Everything has a purpose. Everything is used. Everything is repaired. And almost everything has a story. Outside, another rooster calls. This time a dog barks. Someone coughs in a neighboring house. A door opens. The day has begun. You sit up slowly. The straw mattress makes a faint rustling sound beneath you. Your feet touch the cold floor. For a moment you hesitate. The warmth of the blanket is tempting, but medieval mornings do not wait for anyone. 2. There is bread to prepare. There is water to carry. There are animals to feed. There is a fire to wake. And beyond the village, fields are waiting beneath the pale morning sky. You wrap a wool cloak around your shoulders and move toward the hearth. The fire is almost gone. Only a few red embers remain beneath the ash. You kneel and carefully move the ash aside. There, a small orange glow. You place dry grass and thin pieces of wood over it. Then you breathe gently, once, twice. The ember brightens. A tiny flame appears. You add another piece of wood. Soon the fire begins to crackle. Its light spreads slowly across the room. The sleeping faces around you become visible. For a few moments, the house feels almost peaceful. This is one of the strange things about life in the Middle Ages. 3 people work hard. They worry about harvests. They worry about weather. They worry about illness. They worry about taxes, animals, crops, and food. And yet there are also these quiet moments. Moments when the entire village is wrapped in darkness. Moments when a fire is the only light in a room. Moments when a person can sit quietly and hear the wind moving across the roof. The world is not silent. It is simply slower. You take a wooden cup and step outside. The door makes a low creaking sound. Cold air touches your face. The village lies beneath a pale sky. Smoke rises from several roofs. The church bell tower stands above the houses, dark against the horizon. A narrow path leads between the homes. There are puddles, where yesterday's rain collected. A wooden cart rests beside a barn. A few chickens are already scratching at the ground. The village is waking one person at a time. You walk toward the well. 4. There are already 2 people there. An older woman is pulling a rope, hand over hand. The bucket rises slowly from the darkness below. The rope creaks against the wooden wheel. When the bucket reaches the top, she places it carefully on the stone edge. She sees you and nods. You greet her. There is no need for many words. Everyone knows what mornings are like. The well is part of daily life. Water is needed for everything: drinking, cooking, washing, animals, cleaning. There is no tap to turn, no pipe beneath the floor. Every bucket begins with a walk. You lower your own bucket. The rope slips through your hands. You hear the faint splash far below. Then you pull. 5. The bucket is heavier now. Your arms begin to feel the weight. You pull again, slowly, steadily. There is no hurry. You bring the water home. The sun is beginning to rise. A pale line of gold appears beyond the fields. The roofs of the village catch the first light. For a moment, everything looks almost beautiful. The walls of the houses glow softly. Mist rests over the fields. The trees are dark silhouettes. A horse moves quietly inside a nearby stable. You hear the sound of a wooden spoon against a pot. Someone laughs. A child begins to cry. A dog barks again. And then the church bell rings. One deep note, then another. The sound travels across the village. It is not merely a religious sound. 6. It is part of the rhythm of life. People know what the bell means. Morning. Time to begin. You return home. Breakfast is already being prepared. There is porridge. There is bread from yesterday. There are a few pieces of cheese. Perhaps there is an onion. Perhaps an apple stored from the previous harvest. For most people, breakfast is not elaborate. Food must last. The grain that becomes bread today must also help feed the family later. The winter stores must be protected. Nothing is wasted, if it can possibly be used. You sit near the fire. The bowl is warm in your hands. Steam rises gently. You take a spoonful. It is plain, but after waking in the cold, it tastes good. You eat slowly. 7. Outside, the village grows louder. The blacksmith has begun working. You hear the first heavy strike of his hammer. Clang. A pause. Clang. Another pause. Clang. The sound carries surprisingly far. The miller is preparing his mill. Farmers are leading animals from their barns. Women are carrying baskets. Children are beginning to appear outside. Someone is calling for a missing goat. The ordinary day is underway, and this ordinary day is what most medieval history is made of. Not kings, not battles, not castles, but people waking before sunrise, people carrying water, people repairing roofs, people baking bread, 8 people walking behind oxen, people waiting for rain, people hoping for a good harvest, people falling in love, people arguing with neighbors, people sitting beside fires at night, people living lives that seemed completely ordinary to them. You finish breakfast. There is work waiting. You step outside again. The morning is cool, but the sky is clear. Today you will walk beyond the village. The fields begin just beyond the last houses. They stretch toward the horizon in long strips. Each strip belongs to someone. Some are planted with wheat, others with barley, others are resting. The land is divided carefully because the harvest matters to everyone. You walk along a muddy path. Your shoes are simple leather. They are not perfectly waterproof. You avoid the deepest puddles. 9 beside you, a farmer guides 2 oxen. The animals move slowly. Their breath is visible in the morning air. The plow cuts through the soil. A dark line appears behind it. The farmer follows, again and again. The work is repetitive. That is the nature of much medieval labor. There is no machine to finish the field in an hour. The earth must be turned by hand and animal power. Every row takes time. Every seed must eventually become food. You continue walking. Beyond the fields is a small wooded area. The trees are old. Their branches are bare in this season. Birds move among them. The forest is not simply a place of beauty. It is a source of fuel. Wood, berries, ten nuts, mushrooms, branches, sometimes game. The forest is useful, but it can also be dangerous. People know that. They do not wander without reason. You enter beneath the trees. The village sounds fade. For a few minutes, there is only the sound of your footsteps. Crunch, crunch, Crunch. A bird calls somewhere above. You stop. The forest seems enormous. It is strange to think that the world outside the village is so large. There are roads leading to other villages. There are towns. There are markets. There are monasteries. There are castles. There are distant kingdoms. 11, but for many people, most of life happens within walking distance of home. The village is the center of everything. People know one another. They know whose cow has given birth. They know whose roof needs repair. They know which family has a new child. They know which farmer had a poor harvest. They know who is getting married. They know who has traveled to the town. News moves by word of mouth. A traveler can become the most interesting person in the village simply by arriving from somewhere far away. You walk deeper into the woods. Soon you hear an axe. Someone is cutting branches. You find a woodcutter working beside a fallen tree. He pauses to greet you. There is no long conversation. He returns to his work. The axe rises, falls, rises, falls. The sound is steady. You watch for a moment. Then you turn back toward the village. By late morning, the sun has climbed higher. The cold has disappeared. The village is now fully awake. Children are playing near the houses. They chase one another between carts. A small boy carries a stick as if it were a sword. Another child pretends to be a knight. They laugh. Their clothes are simple. Many children wear garments made from wool or linen. Nothing is thrown away easily. When clothing becomes too worn for adults, it can be altered for children. When it becomes too damaged to wear, pieces can become cloths or patches. Life is built around reuse. You pass a woman sitting outside her house. She is spinning wool. Her fingers move almost automatically. The spindle turns. The thread grows longer. She has done this many times. 13 spinning is one of those tasks that can continue while someone talks. So she speaks with another woman nearby. They discuss the price of grain, the weather, a neighbor, a wedding, a cow. The conversation moves from one subject to another. Nothing about it would seem remarkable, and that is precisely why it matters. This is the ordinary world, the world beneath the history books, the world where people spend years doing small tasks that never become famous. You continue toward the center of the village. There is a small market area. Today is not the largest market day, but a few sellers have arrived. One has eggs, another has vegetables, someone has smoked meat, a baker has brought bread, a merchant from a nearby town has cloth. There are people gathered around him. They touch the fabric. 14, they ask questions. They negotiate. The merchant smiles. He knows that bargaining is part of the business. You stand nearby. A woman examines a piece of blue cloth. Blue dye is valuable. She turns the fabric over. The merchant names a price. She shakes her head. He lowers it slightly. She shakes her head again. He sighs. Finally, they agree. She pays. The cloth disappears into her basket. A small transaction, but it matters. That cloth may become a dress. That dress may be worn for years. Perhaps it will be passed to another family member. Perhaps it will be cut and reused. Everything has a life beyond its first purpose. 15, near the market stands the village church. It is not enormous. Its stone walls are thick. The doorway is narrow. Inside, the air is cool. Candles burn near the altar. The light is soft. The walls are decorated with paintings. For people who cannot read, images tell stories. Stories of saints. Stories from scripture. Stories of suffering. Stories of hope. The church is part of the village in ways that go beyond worship. People meet here. People marry here. Children are baptized here. The dead are remembered here. The church bell marks the passing hours. The church calendar shapes the year. Feast days interrupt work. Fasting changes meals. Religious celebrations give people reasons to gather. 16, you stand quietly inside. Outside, someone passes the doorway. A cart rolls over the road. The sound fades. Inside, it is peaceful. You sit for a moment. There is no need to hurry. The medieval day may be busy, but not every moment has to be filled with movement. Sometimes a person simply sits. Sometimes they think. Sometimes they pray. Sometimes they wait. You leave the church. The sun is high now. It is time for the midday meal. Back at home, the fire is burning strongly. A pot hangs above it. The smell is warm and comforting. There are vegetables, perhaps beans, perhaps cabbage, perhaps onions. There is bread, 17. There may be a little meat if the household is fortunate. The meal is shared. People sit close together. There are no individual plates in the modern sense. Bread can be used to hold food. A wooden bowl may be shared. The meal is simple. But food is not only about nutrition, it is also about community. People talk while they eat. They discuss the work that remains. They discuss the weather. Someone mentions a traveler who arrived yesterday. Someone else has heard that a storm may be coming. Nobody knows for certain. Weather forecasts do not exist. The sky must be watched. Clouds matter. Wind matters. Birds matter. The behavior of animals sometimes matters. People learn to read nature because their lives depend on it. After the meal, there is a brief rest. 18. The fire crackles. The room is warm. Your body feels tired from the morning. You close your eyes. For a short time, you sleep. Outside, life continues. A cart passes. Someone calls to a horse. A hammer strikes metal. A child laughs. The sounds blend together. You wake perhaps half an hour later. The afternoon has begun. The work is waiting again. You leave the house. This time you walk toward the river. The path slopes gently downward. Along the way, you pass a small farmhouse. A woman is hanging cloth to dry. A man repairs a fence. 2 children carry a basket. A dog follows them. Everyone seems to have something to do. 19. Yet nobody appears to be moving quickly. There is a natural rhythm. Work, rest, work, rest, daylight, darkness, summer, winter. The seasons determine everything. In spring, fields are prepared. In summer, crops grow. In autumn, harvest dominates life. In winter, work moves indoors. The year is not divided by office calendars. It is divided by the earth. You reach the river. The water moves slowly. A wooden bridge crosses it. The bridge is old. Some boards have been replaced. Others are worn smooth. 20, you step carefully. Halfway across, you stop. The river reflects the sky. A fish moves beneath the surface. A woman is washing clothes on the bank. She beats a piece of cloth against a smooth stone. Again, again, again. It is hard work. She notices you and smiles. You greet her. Then you continue. On the other side of the river is a small mill. The mill wheel turns steadily. Water pushes against the wooden paddles. Inside, grain is being ground. The miller is covered in flour. He looks tired, but the mill never seems to stop. People bring grain here because grinding it by hand takes enormous effort. The mill is one of the places where medieval technology becomes visible. The world may be old, but it is not without invention. 21 Water can do work. Wind can do work. Animals can do work. Simple machines can multiply human effort. People understand practical engineering. They build bridges, mills, wells, roofs, carts, plows, forges, ships. Their world is not primitive. It is simply built with different tools. You watch the wheel for a while. There's something calming about it. Round and round. The same movement. Water flowing. Wood turning. Grain becoming flour. The sound is almost like breathing. 22, you sit near the river. The afternoon sun warms your face. For a while, you do nothing. This too belongs to life. Not every moment must produce something. Sometimes a person sits beside a river. Sometimes they watch water move. Sometimes they listen to birds. Sometimes they simply enjoy the warmth of the sun. You remain there until the shadows begin to lengthen. Then you return toward the village. The afternoon work continues. At the blacksmith's forge, sparks fly. The blacksmith lifts a piece of iron from the fire. It glows orange. He places it on the anvil. Clang, clang, clang. The sound is sharp. You watch him shape the metal. He is making a hinge. Something ordinary. 23, something that will eventually hang on a door. But the skill required is extraordinary. The right temperature, the right force, the right timing. He has learned through years of practice. Nearby, a carpenter is repairing a cart. Wood shavings cover the ground. The smell of fresh timber fills the air. He runs his hand over the surface. Then he works again. The cart belongs to a farmer. It needs to be ready before the next market day. Everything depends on tools working properly. A broken wheel can become a serious problem. A damaged plow can delay planting. A dull axe can slow the collection of firewood. The people who make and repair tools are essential. You continue walking. A group of men are returning from the fields. Their clothes are dusty. Their hands are dirty. They look tired. One carries a bundle of vegetables. Another carries a tool over his shoulder. They talk quietly. Someone jokes. Someone complains about the soil. Someone wonders whether the weather will remain dry. They have worked since morning. The day is still not finished. At home, animals must be fed. Food must be prepared. Tools must be cleaned. Firewood must be gathered. Children must be washed. There is always another small task. This may be one of the hardest things to imagine about medieval life. Modern life contains enormous amounts of convenience. A person can heat water almost instantly. Food can be stored for months. Light can be available all night. Clothing can be produced in enormous quantities. A machine can wash clothes. A machine can clean floors. A vehicle can cross in minutes what once took hours. 25. In the Middle Ages, every one of these conveniences had to be replaced by time and effort. Yet people adapt. What seems difficult to us becomes normal to them. Carrying water is simply what you do. Lighting a fire is simply what you do. Repairing clothing is simply what you do. Walking several miles is simply what you do. Waiting is simply part of life. The sun begins to lower. The evening arrives slowly. Golden light falls across the fields. The village looks different now. The morning activity has faded. The streets are quieter. Smoke rises from chimneys. A dog lies near a doorway. Children are called inside. A farmer closes a gate. You hear the distant church bell. 1, 2, 3. The sound fades. 26, you return home. The evening meal is being prepared. The room is warmer now. The fire burns brightly. A pot hangs above it. Bread sits on the table. You remove your cloak. Your hands smell faintly of smoke. You sit. For the first time all day, there is nothing urgent. The work is mostly finished. The darkness outside means that much of the day's activity must end. Without electric lights, evening changes the rhythm of life. Candles cost money. Oil lamps require fuel. Firelight is precious. People do not illuminate entire houses. Instead, they gather close to the hearth. The room becomes smaller. The world beyond the door disappears. Inside the house, people talk. Someone repairs a piece of clothing. Someone sharpens a tool. 27, someone tells a story. Someone sings softly. Children listen. Stories are important. There are no televisions, no radios, no streaming services, no endless stream of information. A story must be told by a person. It travels from one voice to another. A grandmother tells a story she heard from her grandmother. A traveler brings a tale from another town. A priest tells a story from scripture. A farmer tells a funny story about a neighbor. A child invents a story about a dragon. The imagination has room to breathe. You listen. The storyteller speaks slowly. The fire makes a quiet popping sound. Outside, the wind rises. The roof creaks. A horse moves inside the stable. The story continues. 28. There is something comforting about sitting around a fire at night. Perhaps that is why humans have done it for thousands of years. The darkness outside creates a small circle of safety. The fire becomes the center of the world. Everything beyond it can wait. Eventually, the meal is finished. The bowls are cleaned. The remaining food is covered. Tomorrow will need it. Nothing is left carelessly. A small candle is lit. Its flame is tiny. It creates a pool of warm light. You look around the room. The same walls you saw in the morning now appear completely different. Shadows move across them. The wooden beams seem darker. The firelight touches the faces of the people around you. Everyone looks tired, but there is peace in the tiredness. It is the tiredness that comes after a day that has been filled with useful work. You step outside for a moment. The night sky is enormous. 29. Without modern city lights, the stars are bright. Thousands of them, perhaps millions. You look upward. The Milky Way stretches across the darkness. You can see far more stars than you would from a modern city. The village is almost completely dark. Only a few small lights glow from windows. The church tower stands against the sky. The fields are invisible. The forest is black. The river is hidden, somewhere beyond the houses. You hear an owl, then silence. You breathe slowly. For a moment, the centuries seem to disappear. The sky above you is the same sky that people have looked at for thousands of years. Farmers, children, kings, monks, merchants, soldiers, 30 travelers. Everyone has looked upward. Everyone has wondered about the stars. Everyone has stood beneath this same darkness. You return inside. The fire is beginning to fade. It is time to sleep. Before lying down, you check the hearth. A few logs remain. They will provide warmth during the early part of the night. The door is secured. The animals are quiet. The village has settled. You lie down on the straw mattress. The wool blanket is heavy. It feels rough against your skin, but it is warm. You close your eyes. The last sounds of the day drift through the walls. A distant cough, a horse shifting its weight. The wind, the occasional bark of a dog, 31, then nothing. You begin to sleep, and while you sleep, the medieval village continues to exist around you. The night passes slowly. There are no headlights crossing the walls, no machines humming, no notifications, no voices from screens, only darkness and the turning of the earth. Morning will come again. The rooster will call again. The church bell will ring. The fire will be lit. Water will be carried. Bread will be eaten. Fields will be worked. Clothes will be repaired. Animals will be fed. Children will play. People will laugh. People will argue. People will love. 32 people will worry. People will hope. And another ordinary day will become another small piece of history. Several weeks pass. The seasons change almost without announcement. The morning air becomes warmer. The fields turn green. Small flowers appear beside the paths. The trees begin to fill with leaves. Spring has arrived. For the people of the village, spring is not merely beautiful. It is important. The work of the year begins again. Seeds must be planted. Fences must be repaired. Animals must be watched. Tools must be prepared. There is little time to waste. You wake before sunrise. This time the air is mild. Birdsong replaces the winter silence. You step outside. 33. The village smells different. Damp soil, fresh grass, wood smoke, animals, bread. You walk toward the fields. Farmers are already there. They carry sacks of seed. The soil is dark and soft. You kneel. A handful of earth falls between your fingers. This small piece of land contains the future of the household. If the crops grow well, there will be food. If the crops fail, the year will be difficult. A person living in the Middle Ages cannot simply visit a store when the harvest is poor. There is no supermarket. There is no refrigerated warehouse. There is no truck bringing food from another country. The harvest matters. Rain matters. Sunlight matters. Pests matter. A late frost can matter. Everything connected to the land is important. You help scatter seed. Your hand moves forward. Seed falls. Again and again. The work is repetitive, but there is something peaceful about it. The earth accepts each seed. You cannot see what will happen beneath the soil. You can only trust. That is another part of medieval life. Trust. Trust in weather. Trust in animals. Trust in neighbors. Trust in the future. A farmer can do everything correctly and still lose the harvest. So hope becomes part of everyday life. Weeks later, green shoots appear. The fields begin to change. The village becomes brighter. 35 children spend more time outside. Women wash clothes beside the river. Men repair roofs and fences. The blacksmith works longer because there is more daylight. The days stretch. Evenings become warmer. People remain outside after sunset. A group gathers near the church. Someone has brought a small instrument. Music begins. It is not polished. It does not need to be. People sing. Some know the words. Some simply listen. A child dances. Someone laughs. A young man watches a young woman across the group. She notices. She looks away. Then she looks back. No one says anything, but everyone nearby probably understands. 36 life continues. People fall in love in the Middle Ages too. They worry about money. They worry about family. They become embarrassed. They hope someone will notice them. They dream about marriage. They imagine a future. The centuries change many things, but not everything. Some parts of being human remain remarkably familiar. You sit near the group. The music continues. The sky darkens. Someone brings more wood. The fire grows. The laughter becomes louder. For a while, nobody thinks about tomorrow. They simply enjoy tonight. In summer, the village becomes busy. The fields are tall with grain. The sun rises early. 37. The day begins before most people would consider it morning. You step outside while the sky is still pale. The air smells of grass. Dew covers the ground. The fields move gently in the wind. The grain is almost ready. Soon the harvest will begin. Harvest is one of the most important periods of the year. Everyone helps. The work must be completed before bad weather arrives. You walk through the fields. The grain brushes against your hands. Golden stalks move around you. For a moment, the field looks endless. Then you hear voices. The harvest has begun. People work together. Sickles cut through the stalks. Bundles are tied. Carts carry grain. The work continues through the day. There is sweat. There is dust. 38, there is tiredness. But there is also a feeling of relief. The crop is finally being brought in. Every bundle safely stored means a little more security for winter. The village becomes a place of constant movement. Carts come and go. Animals pull loads. People carry baskets. Children help wherever they can. At midday, everyone rests. Food is brought to the field. Bread, cheese, onions, perhaps fruit, water. People sit beneath a tree. Someone tells a joke. Everyone laughs. Then they return to work. The sun moves across the sky. The shadows shorten, then lengthen. 39. The day seems long, but eventually the final cart returns. The grain is stored. The work is done. People stand outside the barn. For a moment, nobody speaks. They are exhausted. Then someone smiles. Another person laughs. The harvest is safe. Tonight, the village celebrates, not because life has become easy, but because one difficult part of the year has gone well. There is food. There is hope. There is another winter ahead, but it is not today. Tonight there is music. Tonight there is conversation. Tonight people sit beneath the stars. You look across the village. The barns are full. The houses are warm. 40 children are playing. Adults are talking. Someone carries a lantern. The church bell rings. You realize something. A good life in the Middle Ages does not necessarily mean a life without difficulty. It means having enough. Enough food. A safe home. People you trust. A healthy animal. A good harvest. A warm fire. A family nearby. Sometimes happiness is very simple. Autumn arrives. The mornings become colder. The leaves turn gold and brown. The fields empty. The air smells of smoke. People begin preparing for winter. Firewood is stacked beside houses. 41 food is stored. Clothing is repaired. Roofs are checked. Animals are brought into sheltered spaces. Winter is approaching. You walk through the village one afternoon. A carpenter is repairing a door. A woman is sewing. Children gather fallen branches. An old man sits near the church wall. He watches everyone pass. You sit beside him. He tells you about the village when he was young. The houses were different then. The road was narrower. The mill had another owner. The church roof was repaired after a storm. He remembers people who are now gone. His memories contain another village, a village that existed decades earlier. This is how history often survives, not through books, through people, 42 through stories. Through memories, a person remembers a house that no longer stands, a road that no longer exists, a tree that was cut down, a neighbor whose name has almost been forgotten. Every generation carries a little piece of the past. Then, eventually, it passes it forward. You listen. The old man speaks slowly. He does not need to impress anyone. He is simply remembering. The afternoon light fades. You thank him. He nods. You walk home. The first stars appear. Winter is coming. Winter changes everything. Snow covers the fields. The paths become hard. The river moves slowly beneath a layer of ice in some places. 43, the days are short. The nights are long. People spend more time indoors. The village becomes quieter. The work does not disappear. It simply changes. There is spinning, weaving, repairing, carving, tool maintenance, cooking, cleaning. Animals still need care. Firewood still needs to be carried. But there is more time around the hearth. This is when stories become especially important. You sit inside one evening. The fire burns brightly. Outside snow falls. You can hear it hitting the roof. A child asks for a story. Someone begins. It is an old story, perhaps about a traveler, perhaps about a saint, perhaps about a forest, perhaps about a clever fox. The child listens carefully. The adults listen too. The storyteller pauses at the right moments. The fire crackles. Snow continues falling. There is nowhere else to go tonight, so everyone stays. The story becomes the evening. Eventually, the child falls asleep. Someone carries them to bed. The story continues quietly. You watch the fire. The flames move. Orange, yellow, red, then blue at the edges. You realize how little is required for an evening to feel complete. 45, a warmth, food, company, a story, a roof. The people around you do not need anything more at this moment. Outside, the medieval world is cold and dark. Inside, there is warmth. You lean back. Your eyes grow heavy. The story becomes quieter. The wind moves around the house. The fire continues to burn. And slowly, you begin to understand the rhythm of this life. It is not fast. It does not constantly demand attention. It moves with the seasons. The work is repeated. The days are similar. But within those repeated days are thousands of small moments. A child seeing snow for the first time. A farmer discovering that the wheat has grown well. A woman finishing a piece of embroidery. 46, a blacksmith completing a new tool. A traveler arriving at the market. A young couple deciding to marry. An old man remembering his childhood. A family sitting together beside a fire. These moments rarely appear in history books, but they were life. You wake again before sunrise. This time it is winter. The house is cold. The fire has almost gone out. You pull the blanket around your shoulders. Your breath is visible in the air. You kneel beside the hearth. You search for the remaining ember. There is one. Tiny, almost invisible. You add dry material. You breathe. A small flame appears. You smile. 47. The day begins again. You prepare breakfast. The same simple food. Bread, porridge, perhaps cheese. You drink something warm. Then you check the animals. The stable is warmer than outside. The horse turns its head. A cow makes a quiet sound. Chickens move around the straw. You give them food. They are part of the household. They provide milk, eggs, labor, sometimes meat. Nothing is wasted. The horse is especially valuable. A healthy horse can transform work. It can carry loads, pull carts, 48 travel long distances. The horse is not simply transportation. It is part of the economy. You place fresh straw in the stable. The animal settles. Outside, the snow is bright beneath the morning sky. You walk back toward the house. Your footprints remain behind you. For a moment, you look at them, then wind begins to cover them. This is another quiet lesson of medieval life. Nothing stays exactly as it is. Footprints disappear. Buildings change. People age. Children become adults. Fields are planted and harvested. Years pass. Villages change. But the rhythm continues. One spring morning, a traveler arrives. He comes from a distant town, 49. His horse is tired. His clothes are dusty. He carries a small pack. Everyone notices him. A stranger is interesting. People want to know where he came from, what he saw, what he heard, what happened beyond the village. He stays at the local inn. By evening, people gather there. You join them. The traveler tells stories. He has seen a large city. He describes streets filled with merchants, buildings taller than the houses in your village, crowds of people, markets filled with spices, cloth, metal, animals, food. He talks about ships. 50, he talks about roads. He talks about a castle. The villagers listen. Some are skeptical. Some are fascinated. Children stare at him. For them, the world beyond the village feels almost imaginary. You listen too. The traveler's stories remind you that the medieval world is much larger than this village. There are thousands of places, thousands of lives, different languages, different customs, different landscapes, but everyone has ordinary days. Somewhere else, another person is waking before sunrise. Another person is lighting a fire. Another person is carrying water. Another person is preparing bread. Another person is watching the weather. The world is enormous, and yet daily life connects people through simple needs. Food, 51 shelter, work, family, safety, hope. The traveler leaves the next morning. His footprints led down the road. You watch until he disappears. Then the village returns to normal. The story remains. For a few days, people talk about him. Then another matter becomes important. A broken fence, a missing animal, a wedding, a storm. Life moves forward. Years pass. The village changes. Some houses are rebuilt. New children are born. Older people die. 52. The blacksmith's son begins working beside his father. The carpenter becomes an old man. The young girl who once danced near the fire becomes a mother. The boy who carried a wooden sword becomes a farmer. The village continues. You begin to recognize the patterns. Every morning has a beginning. Every evening has an ending. Every year returns to the same seasons. Spring, summer, autumn, winter. But no year is exactly the same. One summer is wet. Another is dry. One harvest is abundant. Another is poor. One winter is mild. Another is harsh. A person's life is shaped by these differences. And yet people continue. They adapt. 53, they repair. They save. They share. They hope. This is perhaps the greatest story of ordinary medieval life. Not the story of greatness, the story of endurance. A person wakes. They work. They eat. They rest. They care for someone. They are cared for. They laugh. They worry. They sleep. Then they wake again. A lifetime is made from thousands of such days. Most are forgotten, but they matter to the people who lived them. One evening, many years later, you stand outside the village church. The sun is setting. The fields are quiet. The air is warm. A young child runs past you. You recognize the face. It belongs to the next generation. The child stops, looks at you, then runs away. You smile. The church bell rings. The sound travels across the fields. You look toward the horizon. The sky is pink, then orange, then deep blue. Smoke rises from the houses. People are preparing their evening meals. A woman calls her children home. A farmer closes the gate. Someone laughs near the inn. A dog runs across the road. The village is alive, not loudly. 55, not dramatically, simply alive. You walk home slowly. There is bread waiting. There is a fire. There are people. The evening will be ordinary, and that is enough. You sit beside the hearth. The fire burns. Someone tells a story. Outside, darkness settles over the village. The stars appear, one by one. You listen. The story becomes softer. Your eyes grow heavy. You lean back. The warmth of the fire surrounds you. The voices around you become distant. The wind moves outside. The roof creaks. A log falls gently into the fire. 56. For a moment, you think about the years that have passed. The fields, the river, the mill, the market, the church, the forest, the harvest, the snow, the weddings, the children, the old people, the travelers, the ordinary days. So many ordinary days, and perhaps that is what makes them beautiful. They were not waiting to become history. They were simply being lived. A medieval farmer did not know that someone centuries later might wonder what his morning looked like. A woman spinning wool did not imagine that her quiet work might one day become part of a story. A child playing beside a house did not know that childhood itself would survive across centuries. They simply lived. They woke when the sun rose. 57. They worked while there was daylight. They rested when darkness came. They watched the seasons. They watched their children grow. They watched their parents grow old. They hoped for good weather. They feared bad harvests. They celebrated good news. They mourned losses. They loved. They dreamed. They slept, and the world continued turning. Now the fire is low. The room is quiet. Everyone has gone to sleep. You remain awake for a little longer. You hear the wind. You hear a distant dog. You hear the soft breathing of the people around you. The candle has almost burned down. Its flame moves gently. 58, soon it will disappear. You lie down. The blanket is warm. The straw beneath you is soft enough. Your body is tired. Your thoughts slow. You close your eyes. Outside, the medieval village is sleeping. The fields are sleeping beneath the moon. The river moves quietly. The trees stand in darkness. The church waits for morning. The animals rest in their shelters. The houses are dark. The roads are empty. Everyone is waiting for another day, and another day will come. The rooster will call. The fire will be lit. The well will be visited. The bread will be prepared. The fields will wait. The sun will rise. 59, and life will begin again. But for now, there is nothing to do. No field needs to be plowed tonight. No cart needs to be repaired. No bread needs to be baked. No water needs to be carried. The work can wait until morning. For now, you can simply rest. Listen to the wind. Listen to the quiet. Feel the warmth of the blanket. Imagine the soft orange glow of the dying fire. Imagine the dark village outside. Imagine the stars above the roof. The same stars that watched over generations of ordinary people. The same moon that once shone over medieval fields. The same night sky that travelers crossed beneath. The same quiet darkness that surrounded homes centuries ago. Everything is still, everything is calm, and for a little while, the world asks nothing from you. You do not need to hurry. You do not need to achieve anything. 60, you do not need to know what tomorrow will bring. Tomorrow belongs to tomorrow. Tonight belongs to rest. The fire becomes smaller. The room becomes darker. The wind grows softer. Your breathing becomes slow. The village disappears into silence. And somewhere beyond the sleeping houses, beyond the fields and the forest. The first hint of dawn waits patiently on the horizon, but you do not need to see it yet. You can sleep. The morning will come when it comes. For now, you are warm. You are sheltered. The night is peaceful, and the old village sleeps beneath the stars. Good night. Stories before sleep.